in our series, Now What? So if you were with us for the previous 2 days, on Monday, we had a really good overview of legislative process as well as some potential bills that could be impacting Broward County businesses. Director Marty Cassini from the Office of Intergovernmental Affairs kicked us off with that session. That was Monday, March 3rd. On the 4th, we had a really riveting discussion with Career Source Broward. They were sharing with us how small businesses can improve their bottom line. They discussed various resources that are available and funding to help staff positions that small businesses would otherwise pay for themselves as a reimbursement feature. And that's 100% free for the small business. So we've been sharing some good stuff. Today will be no different. We're trying a hybrid scenario, so we may have a few technical difficulties here and there, but we ask you to bear with us. I'll be looking in both directions, just to be polite, to both our audience at home or from their offices, as well as here in the room with me. So today is day 3, as I said, of our 3-part series, and we are talking to you from the Broward County Code Enforcement Division here in the room. You're going to be hearing today from a really, really good speaker. And if you're a small business and you are in the construction-related trades, or you have a certificate of competency, a local Broward County license, he's going to be sharing best practices as well as information about changes, potential changes that could impact the licenses that we issue. His name is Aiken. He has 18 years of experience in this industry, and he's going to be sharing with you some information that I think you'll find very interesting, whether you're a small business, large business, certified or uncertified. It's generally very useful information. So as a reminder, this session is being recorded like all of our other sessions. We do ask that our audience online use the chat feature to tell us who you are, as well as to tell us a little bit about your company and do some networking. We'll ask you to input any questions that you have in the Q&A box. For our audience in the room, I'm going to switch my mic and walk around, and you'll be able to ask your questions here live as well. And hopefully both groups will be able to hear those questions, and we'll answer them for you in real time. Now, I know our director, Sandy Michael McDonald, wanted to give a welcome and address you all. He may have been tied up, so if he's able to join us, then I'll give him a few minutes to address you. But otherwise, at this time, I'm going to turn over to Aiken, and he's going to talk to you all. Thank you.
Good morning.
Can we pause for like 2 minutes?
Okay, so I just wanted to confirm, we do see the information coming in from our online audience. You can hear it's muffled or you're not hearing well. Give us just a few minutes to reset. We definitely want to share that information with you, Roy. I apologize for the delay. Everyone in the audience, but just give us a couple minutes. We're going to get that squared away for you so that you'll be able to hear as well. We'll be right back. Thank you. Testing, testing. Shelley, are you able to hear me?
We hear you. It's a little bit better.
Okay, all right. Thank you all. We appreciate your patience. We're gonna try this again. I don't know how much of what we said before you heard, but I think we did see in the comments, it was muffled. So thank you for that feedback. I'll just give a quick overview of what I said previously in case it was missed. Good morning, everyone. My name is Donna Ansnap. I'm the Small Business Development Manager in the Office of Economic and Small Business Development. You are now attending day 3, which is the third and final installment of our semi-annual series, and you have a contract, now what? We started the series off on Monday with Director Marty Cassini in the Office of Intergovernmental Affairs. And Marty gave us a good overview of the legislative process, as well as some state bills and federal bills that might have an impact later on in how we issue our Broward County contracts. On day 2, you heard from Douglas Sains from Career Source Broward, and he shared insight and resources on how small businesses can improve their bottom line. All the services offered by Career Source that Doug shared on Tuesday were totally free to small businesses. If you happen to miss either of those 2 sessions, you are able to go on OESBD's YouTube channel. Give us about a week to get everything together and upload it, and you'll be able to see it there. So today, you're in for a treat. As I mentioned before, just in case you didn't hear me, we are doing a hybrid series. You probably saw already, I did apologize. I said there may be 1 or 2 technical issues, and sure enough, Murphy's Law, we had one. So we left the room, but in the hybrid session, we've got the audience participating both online and here with us in the room, in the Broward County Building Code Division hearing room. So I had explained before how we're going to address Q&As for this live session is, for those of you online in the audience, please use the chat. Tell us who you are, a little bit about your company. You can use the chat to network. We're going to ask you to use the Q&A box to pose questions that you have related to the presentation. You're going to hear from Roy Aiken today, and he's going to be giving you an overview of best practices when it comes to dealing with the Building Code Division, as well as for those of you that are in trades that require certificates of competency or Broward County issued licenses. There have been recent bills that are poised to impact how those licenses are issued. So this is definitely the right session for you. Roy has over 18 years of experience in this industry. This is what he does day in and day out. He is a subject matter expert. And at this point, I'm going to turn the meeting over to him to share with you his presentation. Thank you, Roy.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Call me Roy for short. I know my name is Roy, but everyone who knows me as Roy. Today we'll be talking about the best practices for hiring a contractor. Okay, it's very important that you know when you are about to do any project or hire a contractor or anything like that, what to look out for and how to protect yourself and family. Okay. The agenda today is going to be about the program of code review, the rules and regulation, differences between state and county license, changes in the laws, license type, unlicensed contractor, how you can help yourself and the community, and we'll talk about also mediation and restitution. Contractor licensing and enforcement program is basically here to protect the health, safety, and welfare of the public, right? Our consumer in our community. What we do here in our contractor licensing, we investigate complaints countywide, whether it's county license or unlicensed contractor. We do mediation, we do conduct criminal investigation. We don't do the criminal prosecution, we forward it to the local police department or in state attorney's office for them to do that part. But as far as the civil portion of it, issuing citation, or if it's a licensed contractor, we would then, a local county county licensed contractor, we would then do the disciplinary action. There's two type of license that is allowed to work in Broward County. It's either you have a state license or you have a county license. Everything in the construction industry is regulated in Broward County, outside of a few things, and I'll go over those later. The local license is called a competence license. It could be a specialty. It could be also be a general contractor. The difference is just jurisdiction. They're still allowed to do, if he's a general contractor, he's allowed to do just what a state general contractor is allowed to do. Just that, like I said, it's jurisdiction, where he can operate with that license. So if he comes from Miami-Dade with a license that says Miami-Dade on it, he can't work in Broward County. He has to get the Broward County license in order to work in Broward County. Now, on the next slide, you'll notice that we have some diagrams of the certificate and the license, what they look like. The one on the top, that's the Broward County license. And of course, the smiley face is where the person's picture would be, okay? If you look down on the yellow bar, it also says what that license is for. Okay. Now, the state, they give that plaque. That's the one that you usually have hanging in the office of the business. And below that, you have the wallet size. They're supposed to carry that around with them when they, do business, so that, if someone wants to see their license, then it's available. Also, state law. A contractor, when he's out doing business, his work vehicle needs to have his license number displayed. So when you see those vehicles that pulled up and they have no markings, or they do have marking but no license number, it's kind of a telltale that the person is not licensed. Okay. And also, what you'll notice here also, there's two different types. There's one that says registered and one that says certified. The certified is the state. The registered is the license that is equivalent to the state license. State law, they have to register that license with the state. So that's why you see the registered. Okay. On the next slide, if you look over, you'll get a better picture as to, go back one. Oh, I guess you don't have that slide. Yeah, so the difference is one is going to say certified state license, one is going to say registered. Now, the registered, they cannot use the registration to pull permit. They cannot use the registration to contract with. That is only for the state to know that they have an equivalent county license and is registered. What that does for them also is that at certain time, after 5 years of experience with a county license, they do what is called a reciprocity, where the state would, not reciprocity, but grandfathering, I'm sorry, where the state would then say, okay, you had 5 years of experience with this license in the local offices and you haven't had any issues, so we'll give you the state license and now you don't have to test for the license again. Okay. However, when you do that, you have to give up your county license. You can't keep both. Next slide, please. Now, there was a lot of misconception with this particular paper, the local business tax receipt. In years past, it used to be called the occupational license. Now, an occupational license is just for tax purposes, as it said, local business tax receipt. This is not a license to operate a business, as far as in the construction industry. It's not a license. It's just for tax purposes. So in the past, because it says occupational license, a lot of contractors used to give this to the consumer and say, here's my license. The consumer don't know the difference. So they accept it, assuming that this was a legitimate license, which it's not. Next slide, please. Now, as she mentioned earlier, that there is some changes that are coming. they're in the process right now. Been voted into law already, and it's getting ready to take effect. You know, back in 2021, the state passed House Bill 735, which at the time says if you don't if the state don't have this license, you can't issue that license. The county issue a lot of what they call specialty licenses, things like carpentry, tile and marble, painting, you know, those categories. The state don't issue those type of licenses. So the bill they passed then was saying all those licenses gonna have to be what it can issue them at the point. A lot of people, you know, uproar, of course, because, you know, what those licenses does for these contractors, it allows for them to also pull permit to do these jobs. If the license is not being issued anymore, then they can't pull permit anymore. Okay. The premise was that, you know, this would make it easier for those small contractors to do business because they think we were overregulated. Not understanding that, you know, we're not overregulating by issuing the license, we're there also to protect the consumer. To make sure that the person that's coming out to do the job is competent and is also going to do the job that he's licensed to do. And you know, when the county issue a license, they have to prove their experience. So it shows that this person is competent in that trade. Okay. Then in 2004, that license was that bill was supposed to take effect 2023, July 1st. Because of the uproar, they kicked the can down the road, so to speak, and extended for another year when they came out with HB 1383. That mandated that the state is going to incorporate some licenses, and the state is going to start issuing some of those licenses also. Then they kicked the can down the road a little bit more because that wasn't ready. So to this year, July 1st of this year, that bill is supposed to go in effect. So right now, as it stands right now, that's you know what is scheduled to happen July 1st. It's only the specialty license, the small specialty license, some of them, not all of them, is going to be affected by this bill. Okay. If you notice, you can go to the next slide, please.
I got a question, sir.
Yes.
You put marble cutters and everything.
Sir, we're gonna ask you, for what, yes, to Q&A, but when you are, we're gonna need to go on the mic because the people who are, watching virtually won't be able to hear you.
So what she's asking, put your hand up, she'll bring you the mic, that way. You can,
I'm sorry, I was sitting, what I was saying was, because we're streaming both online and in person, we're gonna hold the questions until the end of Mr. Aiken's presentation, and then we'll circulate with the microphone, so everyone else will have the benefit of hearing your question as well.
Yes.
If you look on the slide, you see the license delineated in red. Those are some of the ones that are scheduled to go away. We don't have all of them listed. You know, this is just a sample to show you some of those licenses that are going to be affected. Okay. This slide is dealing with, and we also, you know, there's two boards, two governing body, a board goes for the license that we issue in the local county. As you can see, one says Division 1, which is the general structural type of license, and Division 2 is the electrical, mechanical, and plumbing. Okay. Next slide. Now, as you can see, this slide just showed you some of the licenses that is in the electrical trade, but none of these are being affected. Next slide. Mechanical, some of those licenses, again, in red, those are the ones going away. You know, things like test and balance, you know, pneumatic control, transport assembly, those licenses will no longer be issued by the county. As it stands right now, we used to have also, liquid petroleum. We no longer do liquid petroleum licensing in Broward County. It's only through the state. If you're gonna hire, a gas, company, they have, you have a license. They still have to have a license, just through the state. Okay? Now, we get to the portion of, unlicensed contracting. Okay. Now, unlicensed contracting is affecting the entire state of Florida, not just Broward County. And, these are, the reasons why we need enforcement. These are the reasons why, we educate the public as to the things to look out for, because, no, don't get me wrong, not all unlicensed contractors are bad people. Not all of them, but there's a majority of them that is out there and they're, preying on the public, the consumer. We feel these complaints, as, my assistant director, Raris, will tell you, we get those complaints coming in all the time. This is the reason why we try to educate the public so that they know what to look for when they're hiring a contractor. Because they can really present themselves and make themselves look legitimate, and you would not know until you ask for that license. That's when you will know whether or not that person is just giving you lip service or they have a license, okay? It affects, businesses, it affects, the homeowner, it affects our community in general, okay? Because they either don't complete the job. If they did the job is not done to code. And if you do get caught by a building official and the work is not done to code, guess what you have to do? You gotta start all over again. So all that money you just spent doing this project just went up in smoke, so to speak, okay? This is some of the way, unlicensed contractor go about doing their business. They impersonate a licensed contractor. They use false or forged document. You wouldn't believe it. The other day, I got a complaint from one of our consumers where an unlicensed contractor took a legitimate contractor's license information. The name is almost similar to the company that actually holds that license, put his personal name on that document and was presenting it as a state licensed contractor. And as a consumer, you don't know. You see this document, you think that it's legitimate. Always do your research. The majority of the time, when the consumer does their research, it's actually fact. By then, it's too late. Do your due diligence up front before you hire that person. Okay? Don't just take their word for it. The best way to protect yourself is do your due diligence, not after the fact. Okay? Next slide, please. Now, these are some of the things that will tell you whether or not the person has a valid license. Can they prove permit? The license number is supposed to be displayed on the contract when they give you a contract. Okay. If they're asking you to pull the permit, that should be a telltale sign that a licensed contractor would not be asking you to pull the permit because he has the capability to do it himself. And if they're trying to deter you from pulling the permit or asking for a permit, again, that's a telltale sign. Okay. Permits are your friend. There's a saying in the building code: people don't do what you expect; they do what you inspect. Okay. Okay. Next slide. These are some of the reasons why they may not be licensed. They weren't able to pass the test. They weren't able to meet the financial requirement that is required, or even though here in Broward County we don't ask so much for financial requirement, we ask for credit score, and that also usually tell you whether or not this person is financially sound to operate a business or are going to business. Is when a consumer give a contractor their deposit, it's not to go pay their car note, it's not to pay their rent, it's to get their project going. Okay, so that usually tell you if the person is not financially sound, that's what he's gonna do with your money. Okay, he may not be able to pass the, background check, because we do background checks on these individuals when they apply for the license. They may not be able to, get the workman comp because they don't have the money to pay for it. Okay, one of the issues that, we see in this industry also is they're being aided by a licensed person, an unlicensed individual, where, the licensed person might be pulling the permit for them, allowing them to engage. The licensed person doesn't have to do the work because this person is doing the work, but, they're using their license information to obtain permit, which is illegal. It's called aiding and abetting. So both parties is in violation. Okay. How to verify a contractor. Okay. You can go to our website, which is Broward.org/building, and you'll be able to look up a contractor. It is a locally licensed contractor. You can call us. We do answer the phone, and we will tell you whether or not that person, even if the person is a state licensed contractor, if you call us locally, we would look it up because it's easy for us. It's something we do every day. You know how to just go there, get it done, and answer your question. You don't have to go through, we're not going to tell you, go to, myfloridalicence.com to look up the information. But if you know, and, you're not calling us, that's where you go to look at the state license contract. Okay, go to myfloridalicence.com, and in big yellow tabs, it will say verify a license. Why should you report unlicensed activity? It helps stop scams and prevent victimization. Okay, unlicensed contractor is unlicensed contracting is illegal. It's by state law. It's not just a county law. Okay, it is can be a first degree misdemeanor, second degree felony, or a third or an automatic felony. I'm sorry. Once we're in a state of emergency. So when that governor go on there, when we get those hurricanes coming out there and he says we're in a state of emergency, if an unlicensed contractor they engage in a contract, just by signing a contract, it's a felony. How does this issue affect us? Okay, loss of revenue, poor quality workmanship. They will rip you off, and our home is our investment. It's a big investment for us. And when you pay someone to come out and do a job, you want it done nicely. That's why you're getting it done. You don't want him to just come and just do the minimum and walk away. If that's what you're looking for, you could have done it yourself, because most of us are fairly handy. May not be as finished as the professional would do it. So if we wanted to do it sloppy, sometimes you take on that project, but you pay somebody to do something, you expect a finished product that's nice. One of the things I always tell people, if it looks too good to be true, 9 times out of 10, it usually is. A legitimate contractor is going to give you a quote that is going to be the true value of what it's going to cost to get that job done. Get more than one, get 2, 3 quotes. Don't just take one. Usually the unlicensed guy is more than likely going to give you the most appealing price, because you don't have those overheads. So he can afford to give you that cheap price. Sometimes, a lot of times, what happens is that they underbid, way underbid, and then they get halfway through your project, and then they quit. They walk away with your money. and then you come to us, and that's when people start doing their research and realize that, oh, I'm not the only one. There's 10 other people online that is complaining about this company or this person. Okay, so that's why I tell you, do your due diligence up front before you hire somebody, okay? You know, business cards. It's supposed to have, next slide, please. It's supposed to have your license number on it. Any advertisement that they do, offering their services, even if it's just a little brochure, like I said, their business card, their vehicle, you see the ad in the, in the paper, any of those, advertisement venues, their license number should be displayed. If it's the website, their license number needs to be there. Okay, that's state law. And that's the same law the county follows. It's in our ordinance that governs contractors in Broward County. It's chapter 9. Now, how we try to combat that, we try to, we hold seminar monthly here in this room, either teaching how to become a legitimate contractor and the process of licensing yourself, or, going out and talking to the community, explaining to them what they need to look for, why it is very important for them to get a legitimate contractor, because they're protecting themselves and the community. We also sometimes, it's been a little while since we have done this, but we do sting operation. We'll get with the local PD, for whatever city or community what we're going in, and sometimes we'll set up a roadblock and just check commercial vehicles, make sure that they, the person that they're coming in to do the work have the correct license. You'd be surprised sometimes how many people end up getting arrested, not just for the unlicensed activity, but for outstanding warrants. And these are people that you let into your home. You have no idea what their background is. So that's what we do. We do the background check when we're issuing that license. So we know that when we send them out there with this license, we're saying that, from what we've seen so far, this person is very safe. The county also have a restitution program. Now, what that restitution program is if you've been defrauded by a contractor, whether he be a county licensed contractor or an unlicensed contractor, you can apply to that trust fund. The county will give you back up to $5,000 per incident. Okay? You have to be a Broward County resident, of course. If it's a state licensed contractor, then you would have to do that through DBPR, to the Department of Business and Professional Regulation. But the county license will, first issue citation to the unlicensed person, then go through the restitution program process. And that process is a two-step process from the unlicensed activity, because the boards are the one that governs the restitution trust fund. So they're the only one that can disseminate those funds. So first, it will go through the citation process, and the hearing officer of the citation, the hearing would make a recommendation, and then we'll take that to the board, and the board make the final decision. If it's a licensed contractor, then it goes through a disciplinary process where it goes in front of the board automatically, and the board make a determination as to whether or not that's a valid request. Now, one of the things you need to understand, the board does not reimburse you for poor workmanship. Okay, if you pay for tile to be put down and they put the tile down, the board is not going to give you money. No, they'll send the contractor back to correct things that needs to be corrected. But when it comes to restitution, they're not going to give you restitution. Okay. This is just some of the outreach events that we have, gone to and presented and have done throughout the years. Some of our team members, actually, one of my team members are here today. Marlene Bella is, our licensing technician, you know, and that pretty much kind of concludes my, presentation. Now, we'll open up for, questions.
Thank you, Roy. I just want to check really quickly. Johnny, are you able to hear us still? Testing, testing. Johnny, just checking if you can hear us in the room. We're gonna take that to mean no news is good news. So what I'm gonna do now is we'll start with the members of the audience here with us, and then we'll move over to the online Q&A. So, sir, I know you had a question. Over.
Oh, it has been answered on the, slides recently.
We'll see there.
Yeah.
Good morning. I am Carl Dosa. I'm CRS Property Care LLC. We are a licensed general contractor. I have a question. On HB 1383, what are the scope that will be affected?
If you go on our website, we have a list of all the licenses that are gonna be affected, which is broward.org/building. And on the home page, you will see all the list of, licenses that is now scheduled to no longer, be in effect, if this still will into effect on July 1st.
So the reason I ask this question is because when in contractors, they carry like.
They're confidentialized.
Exactly, so.
Yeah, that's gonna be one of the contractors that will no longer, be, receiving a license from us if it's stand as it is today.
So let's say if they do not have a license, how will we proceed as general contractor to hire them?
Well, it's not regulated, so, I mean, you can hire them, but, they're no longer a license required.
Thank you.
If I could piggyback on this question really quick, Roy, not to put you on the spot, but hypothetically, what happens if, to follow his example, he hires a painting contractor who at that time has a certificate of competency, let's say June 30th. Or there's work ongoing and he had it as of June 30th and it comes into effect on July 1st and then it's null and void. Is there anything he needs to be mindful of as a contractor who's in charge of that overall project? Or how would that approach work? If you don't know yet, that's okay.
We don't know for, as of yet, no, if it's a consumer that hired that contractor, as long as he was licensed with us at the time when they engaged that contractor, they can still file a complaint with us.
Well, my question is, just be for sure, and, it was 10 years ago that I got my license, but I had to take the test. And it's quite a bit of money, and then the first time it didn't go through, like as far as failed, it took get it right the second time. So I wanna know if this gonna affect contractors, certified contractors who have passed the test down in Broward here. Reading 14 to 15 different books, code books, thick books, everything, in order to pass the test, which I've done. So will it affect those people that have taken the Broward exam?
Anyone that have taken the exam, no matter, what the category, if that category is on the list to be, no longer, requiring a license, yes.
Okay.
Good morning. My name is Bennett. I'm with Juliana Enterprise Inc., general contractor and the state licensed electrical contractor too. My question is about the unlicensed contractors. I heard you say it's illegal for somebody to qualify so the unlicensed contractor to do the work.
If you're qualifying their business, that means that person in order to qualify a business, that person has to register their company name with the issuing party of whether it be the state license or the county license. So let's say, I have a company, you're a general contractor, and I wanted to be a legitimate company, then you would take me to your licensing board, register my company name under your license. That's the only legal way to have that person work as a company under your license. If not, then that person has to be an employee.
Right now, a lot of work is being done by unlicensed contractors because they have their friend, their family, or somebody they pay $500, just sign the permit application, that's it.
Yes.
This is an issue.
Yeah.
And it's happening more and more, like, I lost two of my guys to just do that.
And that's why, and this is where the community comes in. If you know of this activity being done, and you can call and file a complaint with us, we will go out and then, make sure that the company that is actually doing that work is a licensed company. If they're not employee of the license holder, then, and they get paid with a 1099, then they're a non-licensed contractor. And if they're unlicensed, then the license holder is aiding and abetting on a non-licensed contractor. So they're both in violation. Both the licensed and the unlicensed. So what if the county license holder was aiding and abetting on a licensed contractor, and we caught them doing that, then we'll bring them in front of the board for that violation, and the board would discipline them for aiding and abetting on a licensed contractor.
But it seems to me the county and the state knows what's going on with the unlicensed contractor or somebody qualifying for it. But no action has been taken, and this is getting worse and worse.
Yes, the county, we know that this is happening now. We can't be everywhere all the time, and that's where we ask the community to help. Report it. If you report that to us, then we can investigate it. If we don't know about it, we can't do anything about it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions in the room before we start going online?
You mentioned something about HVAC. So some of the scope from the mechanical will be gone, right?
Yes.
So what are those scopes?
In fact, give me a second. My page is not doing it.
Division 2.
Division 2, yes. It's, this one.
In that case, would you still be providing the HVAC license or it's all?
Anything you see in red, we're no longer gonna be providing those licenses.
Once the bill.
Once the bill goes in effect.
It's not.
Thank you.
You would like to see the slide before this one?
July 1st is what it's proposed of this year, but if it's extended, it could be another year. We don't know yet.
It's easier, it's easier if you go online. We have them all listed there, because this is just just a snippet of some of the license. There's more licenses that are not gonna be, issued. Like I said, we just put this on the side just to, as an illustration. But the list of licenses are at Broward.org/. That's what we know.
Yeah.
And you don't see it?
You can scroll down.
You gotta scroll down to the
But
bottom of
is
it.
there a specific one that you would like to know? We can assist you with that actual site. I think.
I used to work for Broward County Traffic as a subcontractor, as a general contractor. I'm sorry. You talked about the details, but you missed one part which I'm gonna add it. Sometimes the people hire a licensed contractor and they left the job. Sure. So they contact you to continue the work with the same license, which is not legal. You have to put or you can transfer the permit to their own name on their company. You cannot work with some other contractor license. This is legal. I believe this is.
No, you're right. If, you know, and as a contractor, if you walk away from a project and no longer, you know, engaging in that project, you should remove your license from that permit. You should notify the building department that you're no longer the contractor on that project. And then the building department would
They
be
can
able.
offer you money that, okay, you can continue. So it's not
Yeah.
gonna happen.
What would then happen, the building department would then give the homeowner 30 days to find another contract.
Sometimes happen in my office, in North Miami Beach, they did illegal activities and they had 4 or 5 rooms. You know, okay, 4 and 5 rooms. They came to my office and they gave me $10,000 to sign a permit to do the work. This kind of offers we can get easily, like my friend mentioned that you put the permit and they can do. It's very attractive, but its consequences are very dangerous.
Yes, and I tell a contractor, once you pull that permit as a licensed contractor, you're not the one engaging in that contract. No, you just took on that project. So if something goes wrong on that project, guess who's responsible? The license holder.
They bring handymans for your license and they can work and it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare.
Now, one other thing also, as a licensed contractor, sometimes the licensed contractor don't like to pull permits because they want to get on and off the job. What I tell licensed guys is that permit is your friend. Because if you work on that project, up to 3 years after you walk away from that project, it's still hanging over your head. So if something happened and you didn't pull a permit, 3 years after, you could still be held liable for that project.
I know, but if you pull a permit, you don't need to pull the permit for the tiles, correct?
Depends. If it's a 2-story building and you need soundproofing, you need to pull.
No, soundproofs on the tiles, like.
Yeah, not for the tile
Not for
itself,
the
yeah.
tiles, so you don't need also minor renovation on the drywall, you don't need to pull the permit. But yeah, if you relocate the drywall or if you do something major which is affect the carrier wall or something like that, then you need to put a permit.
You know, and that's why we said, not everything requires permits, but everything
But
requires a
as
license.
a certified contractor, we need to make sure that what we are doing,
You do it right.
either you need to pull a permit or not, but you need to know what are you doing
Yeah.
and how you can fix it.
That's true.
Thank you. This might just 2 cents.
So
I appreciate it.
Before do we have any questions online or in the chat or Q&A? Okay, hopefully they can hear us. It's good stuff in this room. I jotted down a few questions of my own, if there's none others, no others from the audience. Okay. So here goes one. I already asked you my hypothetical, for July 1st. Are there various locations, for specific county licenses, or is everything done here? Is there another office, another location where anything else is done?
Everything is done here.
Okay. Were you guys once at one university?
Yes, we were.
Okay, and you moved?
We
So,
moved here,
okay.
yeah.
Just checking.
We still get documents sent to one university and it's forwarded here to us.
So that building is vacant right
No, it's still occupied.
The county is a huge thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so distribute your stuff like, your office is.
No, our office, everything is here as far as licensing goes.
Licenses.
Yes.
Okay. You already told us about a webpage where we can find out about the licenses that might be going away. Is there a page on the website that lists contractors who, through hearings or violations, have lost their licenses? How would, say, a prime contractor or a member of the public be able to see that somebody lost the license or has their license suspended?
If the license has been revoked or suspended, and you do a search on our web, it will say.
Okay, perfect. And And then my last question, and I think you may have touched on it already, we talked about restitution from the perspective of a member of the public. What happens if a prime contractor hires a lower trade, a subcontractor, and that subcontractor, I don't know, runs off after getting a deposit or whatever is needed in the finish? Is the prime entitled to the same type of restitution, or is that only for
Only-
members of the public?
Only for homeowners.
Okay. All right, well, that's it for my questions. I will ask one last time for our audience online if they have any questions. Hopefully the audio is coming in good for them. Yes. Just give me 1 second. It's being recorded, so I want to be sure.
Will that restitution count your attorney's fees as well?
The only way that that will apply is if you go through the civil court, person get an order and they fail to pay up to $5,000, yes, they would,
Not higher than that. That's-
not higher than $5,000.
Attorneys are very expensive.
Yeah, we don't pay, civil penalties in terms of, if you sue somebody and they award you, they won't do that. It's more geared towards you spend money for your project and the project didn't get complete, then you lost that money. Then you're in debt.
So the general contractor side is on the owner side.
Not the homeowner, go, yes.
I got a question, a little unrelated. My name is Scott Joseph. I'm the owner of Americheck USA. We've been doing business here in Broward County for over 25 years. We specialize in employment background checks. I noticed that you do background checks on your people. Is that something that we just became a certified small business through Broward County, through Maryville. I'm not sure exactly what that is. Is this something I could work with you on maybe trying to get our foot in the door to do your background checks on your contractors? Or is it something I have to work my way through in Broward County? Is there a bigger umbrella that handles your background checks?
We do the background checks ourselves,
Okay,
in-house.
okay.
So it's not sourced out.
You don't source it out to another vendor? Perfect, great, thank you.
Thank you.
Broward.org/billing.
Thank you, ladies. I see the slides advancing.
Also, just one more note. If a licensed contractor engaged with a homeowner and failed to pay their suppliers, and that homeowner now get a lien against the property because the contractor didn't pay the bill, that is also a violation. So, that's something you can file a complaint for.
But the best idea is when the job has been done, the owner has told them to give me the release of
The
the
release.
for every subcontractor.
Yes. Yes. Because a lot of times, that's what happened is that the license holder sometimes fail to pay their stuff. And the sub, not the lien against the property is, to get their payment. So if that ever occurred, hopefully it never happens, but now you know that there's an avenue.
But at the same side,
Yes, ma'am?
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Thank you. My name is Morena Miles. I'm with Land Developers Consortium. Just a quick question. If I'm a homeowner and I hire a painter, that you're saying that they're not gonna have, they don't need lights anymore. And what happens if the guy I give you the deposit, whatever, who I'm gonna complain to? What is for the public, what is our protection?
That was our argument. Now it becomes a civil matter.
So I have to also pay a lawyer to help me because you guys are not gonna have.
Or go through small claims.
It's not that they're unwilling to help, but it would no longer be up to purview.
Correct.
the problem is that the most of the client, they try to achieve, you almost, they hire a maintenance.
Yeah, And that's why I said, if it looks too good to be true, it usually is.
They also say, pay what you
Get what you pay for. Yes.
At the end. All right, if there are still no questions online, no? All right, and we've answered all the questions in the audience, then we'll advance and. Okay, we have just a few informative slides. I don't know if you're all aware, the Office of Economic and Small Business Development does 2 annual signature conferences every year. The one that's coming up next is Broward and Beyond Business. It's going to be May 9th. We changed locations. We used to be at the Signature Brand. The last one that we had was at the Broward County Convention Center. That's where it's going to be again this year. We encourage you to sign up, register. Registration is free. It is a wonderful networking venue. We've got sessions that run multiple industries, multiple trades. We've got something for just about everybody. So our products are generally attractive because we've got several quote unquote owners who attend, including Broward County and those agencies. And our subs tend to like to come because the primes come for the owners. So it's a really good opportunity to network. The QR code is on the screen, so you can take a picture, or you can go to Broward County OESBD's website, which is www.broward.org/econdev, ECONDEV. And next slide, please. Oh, one more time. I would be happy to pause if you have another question. Let me get you the mic.
Yes, and because of the different companies or businesses or contractors that are held affected by the the painters and everything that's been affected by July 1st. The ones who are currently legitimate and have license to register with the state with that license from Broward County, how feasible is that?
I think that there's going to be some voluntary registration of the license with the state. I'm not sure which license, those it's going to be, but they're going to be specialty license. That was some of the things that they also recommended. So there's a possibility that they'll be able to do that. Voluntary, that's something that we might be looking at down the road.
We're talking Broward County.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's something we might be looking at down the road, that, for a contractor to be able to show that he's legitimate, that he can, something that we might be able to keep issuing those things on a voluntary basis.
Right.
So there's a possibility.
Volunteer basis. Or
Meaning that on their side, because if they don't come in and ask, we can't go out and say, you're painting, so, and give them a citation. Yeah. No, they would have to come in so that they're, saying, hey, look, Broward County gave me this because they know that I'm legitimate contractor, in the city.
And so I want to be registered with the state in the same way.
Correct.
My question is relative to you.
Oh, okay.
For some reason, for instance, myself, I'm registered or I'm certified with the CBE and SBE. Now, I have not seen any projects coming up with the SBE because I was told there are only certain contractors, just few of them. But we used to get jobs a while back. I haven't seen any that's coming up. What's going on with that?
That's a really good question. I don't know if you're aware or if you get our business assistance weekly e-newsletter. It's one of the upcoming slides, but I will address your question. So the way that Broward County's local small business enterprise program works is we, as in the Office of Economic and Small Business Development, we review just about every formal bid opportunity that Broward County is going to use to get a good or service. So when the value of that contract is estimated to be $250,000 up to $100,000, or I should say $100,001, then we'll evaluate whether or not we have enough SBE certified vendors who are able to provide the services required for that scope. If we do have the firms, then we'll recommend that it be sheltered, which means prior to December, I think, 7th or 4th, whichever is the Tuesday, the Board of County Commissioners approved a change to how we do our reserves under the local program. I'm sure you're aware, there have been many changes coming down from the state. So in order to be compliant and not on the wrong side of those requirements, we made some adjustments to our SBE program. So now you know the dollar threshold that we're looking at for SBEs. To ensure that it doesn't limit the participation of other firms, because that's what happened on the SBE program prior to the board's recent change, only SBEs can participate. What we've done now is we've expanded the requirements so that first consideration is given to SBEs who respond, that are responsive and responsible, that meet the requirements for the solicitation. If there are no SBEs that responded to the solicitation or that are deemed responsive and responsible, then we'll give second consideration to CBE firms. Previously, that was not allowed. If there are no CBEs that respond, or there are no CBEs that are deemed responsive and responsible to the solicitation requirements, then we'll give consideration to non-certified firms. So we're widening the pool so that it matches more closely the CBE reserve requirement, because under a CBE reserve, both CBEs and non-CBE certified firms can respond. So the reality is you are seeing less opportunities in that regard, not because of the most recent change, but because there's also an informal bid process that the purchasing division is able to solicit. I think it's above $7,500 through $100,000, where they'll get quotes, or they can put it on BPRO as well, but it's not the same process. So maybe some of those are being advertised in a way that you are not realizing that they're still out there. There's still opportunities that you can bid on. They're under 250,000, but they're not within that SBE threshold. If I explain that correctly. So they are still there, but I wanted to add also, we widened the lane. This is for two reasons. One, to allow more competition for the same solicitation, but it also makes the procurement process smoother, because if we had a solicitation that we designated before the board made this recent change to the reserve ordinance, what would have happened is, because only SBEs could respond, if no SBEs responded, or if they weren't deemed to meet the requirements, we would then have to wait for purchasing to cancel that solicitation, put a new one on the street, and the need for the good service that time would be expanded. With the widened parameters now, we're allowing 3 tracks of firms to respond: SBE, CBE, and not certified. And again, the preference, the pecking order is SBE, then CBE, then non-certified. So we're hoping it reduces the need to delay the procurement process while still giving those SBEs an opportunity.
My question about CP, SBDP. My company is SB, CP, and DP certified. The problem, how I can connect with the prime contractors as a CPE quota, SBE quota. I don't know. So I certified all those things, but I used to work, as I mentioned, in Broward County Traffic Bureau with the concrete work and other stuff. How I can get the prime contractor, the CP and SBE quota? Thank you.
My eyebrows keep going up every time you say quota. We don't like the word quota. There is no quota.
It's no quota, but how I can-
But the way it works is, funny you should ask. The new BPRO system, before we used BPRO, we used Periscope S2G, which used to be Bitsin, right? So now the new procurement system that Broward County uses is called BPRO. It's powered by Bonfire. BPRO is short for Broward Procurement. On BPRO, there's a feature for every solicitation that is advertised, where once you're signed into the system, you're a registered vendor, you get your username, your password. There is a little section for every solicitation that allows subcontractors to say they're subcontractors and provide services for that related project. So any you have to be signed in or registered vendor. That's the only way you can sign. In order to be able to see that feature and to let other vendors, primes know, I'm interested and this is what I do. So you're able to let them know within Pro itself. The questions are getting lively, folks.
The bonfire, they don't put out only for Broward County, they put out like 500, projects for the entire state or for even the entire country. So, I mean, nobody has time to go through to find out what is Broward County. I mean, it's a nightmare. Is there anything you guys can do? Thank you.
I do not work for the procurement division. I do not work for the purchasing division, but it's my understanding that like Periscope, like BidSync, it's a procurement platform, right? So Broward County is the only entity that uses it. So if you happen to do business with Broward County and any other entity that uses Periscope or now ePro, you should be able to see those solicitations. Now, how they come into you, I'm not sure, but I will tell you on the Broward County Purchasing Division's website, which is www.broward/purchasing. As soon as you're landing on their homepage, there's a button for ePro. There's actually customer service there, and they can probably guide you through how you can reduce, I guess, all the noise that you're getting in terms of multiple solicitations to help you fine tune it. The real answer is, I wish I could tell you what the secret is, but they have the resource there. There's a 1-800 number, and there's also a support email address you can use. So go to broward.org/purchasing, and that information is there specifically for vendors to get help with navigating ePro. It didn't work. Got my email. Email me dnap@broward.org. If it's still not working, I can reach out to purchasing and put you in touch with someone. They actually have an assistant manager who does vendor relations, and he probably would help you. So just email me. Somebody else had a question?
Good morning, everybody. I am Christina Peru Estate. I am starting I'm the owner of Peru Estate Consulting Firm. I have been a licensed pharmacist in the state of Florida for 18 years. I've been a consultant pharmacist. Well, I'm starting my business through my consultant pharmacist license, and I've been studying government contracting for a year now, as well as I'm doing my own research for a business. And my only suggestion, I have a suggestion for the SBE and CBE and DBE certifications. It's like a lot of clerical work. So it may be beneficial for you to hire somebody part-time or set aside hours to make those plans and find opportunities that are available for your business. And I really appreciate all the information provided in this series. It's been very helpful. Thank you.
I just wanted to add a disclaimer. All the services that OESBD provides are free of charge. If you opt to hire someone, I know some of your small businesses with like 1-2 employees, if that's viable. But the next slide, I don't know who queued it up, but talk about timing. OESBD now offers technical assistance Fridays. Technical assistance Fridays occur on the 1st and 3rd Friday of every month. We have a space that we use at Nova Southeastern University, the Levan Center. It's within their library. Don't quote me on which floor it is. I wanted to say this, but I'm not sure.
It's in the library. That says in the library.
I did. I said it's in the library.
But I never thought that I would.
Yeah, it's in the library on the 5th floor of the library, was what I was saying. We encourage you to make an appointment, so call our office, 954-357-6400. And you can make an appointment to meet one-on-one with one of our certification specialists in our office. The number again is 954-357-6400. And you can ask to make an appointment with one of our specialists, and we can assist you with brand new applications, renewals under the local and the federal programs. So we do have that service that we're offering as well. Next slide, please. Thank you. You can stay in touch with us to learn more about this type of programming and other events that we coordinate. With me today are two members of our community relations outreach team. They do a lot of the marketing and events for our office. Both events that we put on, as well as those with our partners in the community. We have an e-newsletter, it's called the Business Assistance Weekly, or the BOB, comes out every Wednesday around 6 p.m. Yep, around 6 p.m. every Wednesday, and it's chock full of information. You can use a QR code on the screen right now to take a picture. You can request to be added to the distribution list. Our director said Michael McDonald does hot tips. We brag a little bit about our certified firms are doing well. I mentioned before when we did change the reserve program, we also announced it in the law. If we get more information about some of these state bills and how they're going to impact small businesses, we'll be sure to share it there as well. So stay in touch with us. We're on the socials, as the CR team likes to say. Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter is now X. Yeah, what's the tree?
The tree.
Linktree, okay. You can use the QR code there to follow us, and that is our director's picture, second by McDonald. He wanted to be here today, but he got tied up. You can always email him, ask him what happened. No, I'm kidding, don't do that. But that's also the number for our office that I was sharing before, 954-357-6400. And may I have the next slide, please? I think that's our survey. Yep. So when we do our programming, we do like to get feedback from you. So please use that QR code on the screen. It's a very brief survey. Just provide us with your feedback. We do keep it in mind when we start coordinating new events. I'll pause for a minute so we can access that. Hopefully our friends online are still with us and hearing us just fine. You should be able to access that QR code as well on your end. So I'll just pause for a few seconds here. You can still do that while I'm talking. So I'm going to move to the next slide because we're almost done. And that's the final slide. So thank you very much. As I said before, we appreciate your participation on behalf of our director and the rest of the OESBD team, the building code division team. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for your questions, your participation. This concludes this installment of our semi-annual series, but we'll be back sometime in August with another 3-part installation. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
No, it's going to be 2 weeks. It was a couple of weeks. We have to go through format, and we have to go through a special process.